So 12 years ago today, a childhood friend of mine from Berwick Hills, John Williams, he said, Jamie, when you get a second, type in Paul Sykes at large and have a look on YouTube. 12 years ago today, I didn't know him, never heard of him. And to cut a long story short, I'm 22 books down the line because of the interest that I followed up. Got 4 books finished, 4 to come out, so that'll be 26. So I'm writing my 27th one now. Brian Clough will be 28. But a lot of things can get posted about on the internet without real substance. You know, lies can be a wealthy commodity to throw around, because of course if you get 1,000 views you get £2.20, £2.17 I think, something like that. And so in 12 years of thorough research, meticulous, which of course got signed to be a film, Western Edge Pictures just haven't got the time to dig, and so that's what they paid me for. So basically my research from the books is it's going to be, that's where the film script's written from. But I'm just having a look at the books. So the first book I did, there was 50 people. Now, in 12 years, I'm still waiting to come across a victim. So, you know, it's usually the usual suspects, but in 12 years, I'm just having a look now, some of the names, you know, some of the people from the Lupset estate, Chris Lambrianou, who spent 3 years next door to Sykes in prison, Eddie Richardson, the gangster, Charles Salvador, of course, Charles Bronson, boxing referees, you know, people he fought, various prison characters, family members, Peter Fury, who was in prison with him, Johnny Nelson. For the second book I did 34 people, and one of them was a Wakefield police officer from the Lupset estate. But the final book, Sykes' Final Agony, I put in, so that book is 200 pages, over 200 pages actually. But so the only person in that book, apart from myself, is the Chief of West Yorkshire Police, or former Chief of West Yorkshire Police. So I interviewed him in, I think about 2020, I think it was. And so he had access to Sykes, what do they call it? Oh, you know, like his criminal record and all the things he was accused. And he told me he absolutely despised him. He said, you know, I remember getting calls and we had to go and send half the street from Wood Street Nick. And then I remember 2006 when a gush of wind would have blew him over, and he couldn't even open a can of beer. So he knew him when he was at his most scariest, and he also knew him when he was at his most vulnerable. And as I said, in 12 years of speaking to 50 in the first book, 34 in the second one, 1 in the third, and dozens and dozens and dozens, you know, we're probably going to go into hundreds now. I'm probably talking about hundreds of people in the last 12 years. So I'm still yet to meet a victim, an alleged victim. You know, would you people go, oh, it was different in them days and, you know, they were scared, and would you keep something like that quiet? Because I certainly wouldn't. As I said, you know, it can be wealthy, it can be a business which makes a lot of money if you sit on YouTube and make something outrageous up where people go, oh my God, I can't believe it. Yeah, I actually spoke to, let me find his name. Phil Wheatley. I actually met him probably about 6 months ago, but I interviewed him near enough 10 years ago now. So he was a governor of Hull Prison. I'm just trying. So he's some kind of Home Office secretary. I think he's kind of in charge of the whole British prison penal system. And he had 20 years of experience dealing with Sykes. And he said none of that ever went on. He said, I grant you, some of my office would wind people up and say, if you don't behave, I'm going to put you in with Sykes. He was not openly gay, but there's no doubt about it. He was a practicing homosexual. I remember going into Dovegate Prison, 2016, so what, over 8 years ago now. And his son said to me, he said, if my dad was here now, he'd admit it. He wouldn't shout about it. Sykes was kind of a man's man. But it was something he did behind the door. It's certainly not for me. But, there's a big difference between that being, whatever, how you ever want to get through the time with other consenting adults to actually being some kind of prison predator. So, again, in 12 years of speaking to so many different people, I've had various conversations with celebrities who have just been amazed with the Sykes story. Ricky Gervais, huge, fan's not the word, is it? But he's ridiculously interested in the Sykes story. Robbie Williams is another one. Let me think. Martin O'Neill has read the books. Various boxers. I'm trying. Actors. Ross Memedale. Of course, the papers are convinced he's going to play him in the film. I beg to differ on that, but it's not for me to say. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. Let us know your comments. Some people try and slag him off as if it's getting at me. I've got no links. I've got no emotional ties to Paul Sykes. I never knew him. I never even heard of him until over 5 years when he'd been dead. He was just a book character to me, just a book subject. I found him hugely interesting to study. As I am now with Mickey Duff, as I am in the past with the Dominic Neguses, your Roy Shaw's, just a book subject. Didn't know him. And as I said, I've got no ties to him. I will openly admit he was one of the most, I wasn't even an author when I did that book. So when them first, so I released 22 books, and my very first two were Sykes Unfinished Agony and Sykes Further Agony. Now, I didn't know whether I was going to get laughed out the literacy world. So when they started becoming bestsellers and people, oh wow, it was brilliant and all this, I was like, really? I was kind of didn't believe, and I was almost waiting for the punchline. But that's not down to me. It's down to, he was riveting, wasn't he? He was completely fascinating. But yeah, in 12 years, I've never come across any victims. I've never met any. I've never heard people say he did this to me. It's always been, I've heard about him. So when I've spoken to the former chief of West Yorkshire Police, when I've spoken to West Yorkshire police officers, when I've spoken to prison governors and prison screws, and dozens of people behind the door with him, and none of them have said that, then, you just can't really take it seriously. But, yeah, that's all I'm saying. 12 years ago this month. It was about the it might even been 12 years ago today. It was about mid-June 2012. And I just, I've described it so many times as watching a documentary, reading the book, walking into the story, and meeting all the characters. I've met them all, your Delroy Showers, I've been to stay with one of Paul's wives. Paul had 3 wives. Lovely lady. Met some of his kids. Various different people. John Spenceley's, God rest him, and spoke to many of the names from Sweet Agony, your Ronnie Trelfalls, your Davy Dumfords. They've now both passed. And I just can't find any substance. I can't find any real accuracy. I can't, there's a lot of hearsay on the internet, but I read stuff like that about me, and I just laugh at it. It's let us know your thoughts. What do you think about it? As I said, I didn't know him. I don't like him. I don't dislike him. I just nothing him. He was just a book subject, and it's finished. It's done. And obviously, Western Edge will carry the baton whenever they decide to do the film and the documentary. And I'm sure other people will come along and do books. And I did the 3 books. Paul's did. So there's 4 books. Obviously, Rob Brenton did It's Sharks. Matthew Oakley did Yes, Paul, and then I'm told there's going to be another sequel, so there's going to be a 7th Sykes book. But yeah, I just can't find any concrete hard evidence. It's always, I've heard about it, and listen, I make no bones about it. If one of them prison officers or kind of prison governors or the chief of West Yorkshire Police had told me, I would have put it in. It would have been a scandal, wouldn't it? Yeah, he was accused of rape, and he was arrested for this, and there was nothing like that at all. Just an old bloke on the internet who dresses like a paper boy, hiding his baldness, wearing a hat, to make lies up, because making lies up benefits him. It suits his narrative, and then of course it makes him money. But I'm not going to believe a prolific and habitual liar. To and a lot of it is jealousy as well. There's going to be a film on him, this character, who's now kind of dead and buried, and there's no doubt about it. The locals from Wakefield, I kind of walk the ghost up, if you like, and I'm sure a lot of people from Wakefield would have rather have forgot about him, and I understand that. I completely get it. But a lot of the things he did, I wasn't even born. And it's social history, isn't it? It's regardless of whether you loved or loathed him, you'll never forget that name. The most notorious, the most difficult prisoner in the penal system, the British system in the 70s and the 80s. And what a scary character he was. But let us know your thoughts. Is there any truth in it? Am I being delusional? Am I in denial? I mean, I'm just bringing you the facts. I'm just talking facts on what I've found. And as I said, if I could have found some, of course I would have put it out. Makes no difference to me. How many books has been written on Adolf Hitler? He was a monster. But I'll still watch documentaries about him. Fascinating. Analysing his body language and terrific to study. But let us know your comments below.